Hi, everyone. Alan Childs here, Chief of Police for the town, and we're 10-8 and in service, which means we're here to make people's lives better, and we do that by safeguarding the lives, rights, and property of everyone we serve. This is a live show, so if you have a question or comment, go ahead and throw it in the chat. We'll be monitoring both Facebook and YouTube, so if you have something on YouTube, we'll be monitoring that chat as well. So just go ahead and throw your questions in there. If you want opportunities to engage with us live and in person, we've got a great opportunity coming up. It's an event that we hold twice a year, and it's our Citizens Academy. We're still accepting applications. We still have a few slots left open, but we're almost to capacity for this period. It starts March 22nd, so in a couple weeks, we'll be kicking that one off. And it's a good opportunity to come in and join us and see what it is we do. We introduce you to a lot of our staff, and we show you the people and the tools that we use to keep Danville safe. And you'll see that it is a team effort, and it includes all of us, and it really is a good time. So come and join us there. We'd love to have you there. We're going to schedule more coffee with the cops as we go, but I wanted to let everyone know that there is an extension. We talked about it the last couple of weeks, that we have a disaster recovery center. So this is in response to the floods that took place on New Year's Eve. Danville coordinated with our county emergency services and FEMA to bring resources down here to Danville because they have been getting so much traffic. And now that there are additional needs for the community, the dates have been extended. So instead of stopping today was supposed to be the last day, they're extending it another 2 weeks through March 16th. And so at the Disaster Recovery Center, there are a lot of state agencies specifically designed to help people as a result of the disaster. So you can see there's DMV, there's social services, housing and community development, employment development, a lot of agencies. Those agencies are not for day-to-day, so you can't go down and renew your registration there. But if you are affected by the floods and you believe you have got a claim, that's a great place to start, because what they do is they put all those resources in one place. So come join us there. Very special announcement. The Diablo Road is going to be closed, and we'll take a look at that. It's going to be closed beginning March 23rd through April 13th. So that is a very long window. We did try to coordinate that with the school schedules and the time that people are going to be off for spring break. If you want to stay informed about this, if this is important, there's a link in the description. You can click and go right to our Danville Town Talks page. You can enter your email in the Stay Informed box, and I highlighted it in the upper right. You can enter your email there, and you'll be notified of updates. And let's take a look at where the road closure is. So this road closure is going to be on Diablo Road between Alameda, Diablo, and Avenida Nueva. So this is just east of the intersection of Diablo Road and Green Valley Road as you would head out towards Blackhawk. So that is going to be a full road closure. And they're doing a full road closure because that is the quickest way to get this done and lessen the impact on the community. All right, so the special announcements, and we always have these because they're important. Download the FEMA All Hazards Guide. We're putting it up for Wildfire now. We will be going over this later, but this is a good guide. Download it, and it will help you be prepared now for these infrequent events that can cause a lot of havoc. It can help you survive during and give you instructions on what you can do after an event. As you can see in the wildfire checklist side, they've got some good tips on how wildfires are caught or started and what you need to do to be prepared should one happen. How will you be notified? Go to our community warning system page and sign up to receive community warning system alerts. And we can get you set up on that. There's a link in the description. There's also a link for our wildfire preparedness and evacuation guide. And that's a good guide because it tells you how to prepare your home, how to plan with your family, and make sure that that everyone is ready to go should something happen. And really, a lot of it is designed around minimizing the risk of these events and keeping them from affecting your family. All right, we're going to go over the blotter, and then I'm going to cover an update on one of the crimes that we talked about last week and show you what happened there. So stay tuned for that. But let's go over the blotter. You can always go to communitycrimeapp.com. That's where all of our data is pushed out multiple times a day. You can also get sexual offender registry data there as well. And you can set it up so that we'll send you alerts. You can zoom into your neighborhood and select to receive alerts based on your neighborhood. This is a really good week for collisions. On the 20th, that was at the very beginning of the week. On the 20th, we had a non-injury collision on San Ramon Valley Boulevard near Greenbrook Drive. That was the only one we took a report for. So that is very good. Now on to, and I'm going to apologize. Looks like that slide, our crime slide wasn't updated. So I'm going to, oh, that's no good. I apologize. So we actually had very low crime numbers, and let me pull this up, and I'll come right off the I'll go right off the sheet here. Sorry about that. That slide didn't carry over from my desktop, so I'm going to apologize. Okay, so I'm going to read it from here. So we did have, this is interesting. So we had a shoplift at the Blackhawk Safeway. In this case, the person got away, but we knew who the person was. They came back. That was on the 21st. On the 22nd, they came back, shoplifted again. This time we were able to arrest him. We did book this person into jail in Martinez, and we're able to close both of those theft cases on that. We did have a theft on Fostaria Way at Marshall's. This is one where the person went in, stole a bunch of merchandise, and fled on that one. And I do have a picture for that, so we will show that picture here in a second. On the 22nd, on Valley Creek Lane, we had a theft of property from an unlocked vehicle. And then on the 25th, we had a couple of crimes. First, out on Tassaharon Ranch Drive, there was a purse that was taken from a locked vehicle. And then we had a catalytic converter. It seems like we're back to doing those about once a week. We had a catalytic converter that was stolen from from the Diablo Court area. And then we had a late report of a theft of property from the Best Western parking lot there. And so not too bad for crime, a few thefts, but and no violent crime. And so that's always good when we can have no violent crime. But I'm going to show you a picture of the Marshall's theft. And this is the person that went in and stole the property from Marshall's and then walked out with it. This will be a picture of them coming in. They are wearing a mask. So if you can identify this person, they are wearing some clothes that might be distinctive. If you know this person, what we'd ask is don't put the name in the chat. Just send us a direct message or an email or some other private message so that we can work to locate this person. This is from the Marshall shoplift on February 22nd at 3 o'clock. And this is the person that went in and took all of the property. All right. So on to our update. So if you remember from last week, and I'll throw this up, last week we talked about a residential burglary on Rock Island Circle. And the only update I really gave you then was detectives were actively working the case. Detectives are always actively working cases. So I don't want you to think that that's the only case they were working on, but they did have significant leads on that one. Fortunately, our detectives were able to work with local agencies. We were able to use our Flock automated license plate camera system, and we're able to identify the vehicle and the suspect in that burglary. And it took a lot of coordination and a lot of effort with some of our Bay Area partners, but ultimately we were able to arrest the person responsible, and the DA filed, various burglary and theft related charges, and the suspect's being held in jail here in the county on $1.6 million bail. So that is a very good success. Generally speaking, when we talk about burglaries, we give a lot of information about burglary prevention. What can you do to avoid being a victim? And I just want to show that we do work hard on our end. And I know that a lot of times I'm giving the crime tips, and it may seem like, okay, I know, if I'm sitting in your seat, okay, Chief, I get it. I know what you're asking us to do, but what is it that you do when you investigate these crimes? And so I think it's important to share success stories when we get them. And generally speaking, across the nation, these burglaries get solved at a rate of about 14 to 17%. Danville, we're usually anywhere from 30 to 45% on those. And so we have usually a pretty good success rate on solving those. But it does take a lot of effort. And we generally, when we go out to a burglary call, you're going to see one, maybe two officers come out, possibly a detective on scene. If there's significant evidence to process, we'll actually call the crime lab down. But usually we're looking for things like fingerprints, shoe prints, things that they may have touched that we can collect for DNA. We're doing neighborhood canvases looking for cameras. So it may not be your camera that catches a vehicle. It actually may be a neighbor's down the street. Then we take it and we put all that information together, and we look at things that we already have, like our camera system, and we contrast that and see if we can't pull leads from there. We also coordinate and we send out photos and information to our law enforcement agencies and our partners around the Bay Area. And a lot of times that'll generate leads as well. And so we do put a lot of work into it. It does take a lot to solve these cases and make sure that we have enough evidence that we can hold a person and file charges on them. But that is our side of what we do. So Celeste says, looking forward to hearing about the burglar caught scary incidents off Lawrence Avenue last night, or Lawrence Road. Yeah. So Celeste, we will talk about those next week, but since you did highlight them, there was a couple of strange calls where there were homeowners that were seeing people on their cameras, and that got law enforcement in the area. And then another homeowner had heard someone in the backyard of the home and alerted to that, and the suspects fled from there. And officers were looking for those folks. So those are cases that we're working, and I hope to have a little bit of a better update next week as we go. But generally speaking, I mean, that's a good segue to serve the reminder of what we can do to avoid being a victim of these crimes. And, I think that last night served as a good example to have motion lights on your house, have, keep the trims in the bushes cut back, make it so that the natural surveillance can take over so that people can see onto the property. Also make sure that if you have the ability to do it, have cameras, make sure that they're in a way that actually they will work and provide useful information, and then make sure they're visible so they're actually a deterrent to the person that's coming onto the property. And if you can, get an alarm that is monitored. So if there is a trip on the alarm, if the alarm does go off, you'll have cops responding to the location. The other part was when a neighbor heard something, or the homeowner heard something suspicious, they immediately went and phoned the police. And so that's what we ask you to do, is if you see or hear something suspicious, call us out and get us in the area. You may have a little bit of information, but then your neighbor may have called in with some more, and a third neighbor with more. So don't rely on someone else having called, or don't just, brush the loud noise or the suspicious activity that you're seeing as though it's insignificant, because it may be a part of a bigger amount of information. All right. Believe it or not, it's a short show this week. On Tuesday, next week, I'm going to be going to your town council and presenting our annual report. That is where I present information on what it is the police department has done over the last year. There's some certain measurements or metrics that we use each year to show performance. And it's usually like crime rate, the different types of crimes that have happened throughout the year, and the traffic collision rate. And then we go into a little bit on our different departments, and then what we're doing in the way of outreach and communication, and how we're trying to work with the community to solve the problems that we see and work to make Danville a safe place. So if you want to check that out, it's going to be, you can always come in person, but if you'd like to see it online, there is links on the town's website on how you can join that Zoom. And it is a good opportunity to see what we do. If you miss that, if that's not what you want to do and you're a regular 10/8 viewer, I'm going to take it segment by segment over the next, it usually takes me 4 or 5 weeks to cover it on the show. And I'll go over the whole report. And then later on, it will be posted to our website. So at any time, you can go back to the Chiefs page on the town's website, and you get all of our past annual reports, and you can kind of see how we're doing. So if you want to know what your police department's doing to serve you, that's a good way to get that information and check up. All right, I'm going to see if there are any comments. I don't see any more on Facebook. I'm checking YouTube here. So I've got Veronica Beck. 43,000 residents and only 4 people watching now. So sad that this service is offered to update everyone, and very few tune in. Veronica, what I'll say is you're looking at the YouTube numbers. There's also Facebook numbers, and we realize that although this is live, depending on the week, we can get upwards of 30 or 40 on a show. And then there's also the people that watch later. Not everybody can tune in at 5 o'clock, but some people will watch for the crime update. And what my obligation is to all of you is to provide an opportunity to engage with us. And engagement isn't simply putting a Facebook post out there and saying, be safe, everyone, or lock your doors. It is an opportunity for you to actually engage with us. That's why we go out and we do Coffee with the Cops. That's why we have this show. That's why we go out and we do Recess with the Cops, because we realize we serve the entire community, not just one segment of it. And that means we serve your kids as well. And so it's important that they get to know and have a relationship with the people that serve. So Veronica, how about this? Let's take on the challenge. If you're one of those members that enjoys watching the show, sign up for the Citizens Academy and check it out. It's a great experience. I'd encourage you to click the link, fill out the application, and send it to Sergeant Rangham. We'd love to have you there. So Kimberly says, I do watch recordings when I'm not here on my laptop or phone. So I do appreciate that because Kim, you're one of the more frequent viewers along with Lou there, adding one to our list. We do get a lot of people that watch regularly. And I think what's great about that is it's not necessarily the people that are watching live, although I think we do get good viewership. It's that you can then relay that message to the people in the community, your friend groups, your business associates, those people that may want to know. I did get a call. This is, I think, early January, and there was someone complaining that there were a lot of residential burglaries, and the person didn't live in town. They lived nearby, but they said there was a lot of residential burglaries and that Danville was doing nothing to put information out about the burglaries and how to prevent them and what we're doing about the burglaries. And I wrote a nice email back and talked to her on the phone and basically showed her all the different ways. And if you really sit down and think about it, we do have this show. So I come on every week and I just tell you what's happening and I tell you what you can do to prevent the trends that are happening. We also have Facebook and Nextdoor and those different platforms that we do post to. We also, if there's a significant event, we'll throw it out on Nixle and say, hey, look, here's a fraud alert, or here's an incident that's happening right now in town. Be on the lookout. And then we also do a quarterly newsletter. So every few months, you will get a newsletter to your door printed, and there's usually going to be information about the whole town. But for the police department, there's usually crime safety tips. I think we're going to publish about the social host ordinance, which is our ordinance that makes it illegal or unlawful to host a party for kids and serve alcohol or marijuana. And so that is the information that we put out there. And we're appreciative to have a lot of channels, but it's important that all of you know that my obligation and job as the chief of police here is to make myself available to all of you. And so so Veronica, I appreciate it. That's a very good observation. And I'm glad that you had that reaction. And so Veronica, if you want to know more, come join us at the Citizens Academy. All right. So Celeste says, before you go, can you remind on how to connect with Neighborhood Watch in our area? And I'll type it in too, so that we get the information right. But Lindsay Ortiz is our community outreach coordinator. She does everything that goes external from the police department. That's Lindsay. And so she helps us with our public information out to the public. She helps us with social media. If you have a Neighborhood Watch and you want to set one up, we've got the signs. I'm actually looking at them across the room there. We can actually bring those signs out and put them on the poles. We can help you with all that. But it's really less about the police, and it's more about us helping you organize with your community and get people together, engage with one another, know who your neighbors are. That is the most powerful thing we have in our community, right? We all go to work. We all go for walks. We all leave our home at times. It's great knowing that your neighbor is watching across the street. And the interesting thing, someone asked me one time, how effective are those signs that say, Neighborhood Watch, we're watching you, stay out, don't commit crime here? And I said, they're absolutely ineffective towards the crook, right? I've never met, and I've talked to, we start off working with the sheriff's office. We start off working in the jail, and we talk to a lot of people that have committed crimes, and we talk to a lot of people that have done these, residential burglaries and breaking into cars. Not one has ever told me they saw that sign and turned away and said, well, not here, and left. So I've never seen that. But what it should serve is as a reminder to everyone in your neighborhood, your community, that, hey, even Alan, the chief of police, said, if you see something suspicious, call. We'll go to hundreds of suspicious vehicle calls and people calls and all that. And it turns out just to be maybe a new neighbor, maybe someone delivering or soliciting or something that has got a reasonable explanation that's normal. And frankly, it just gives us an opportunity to go out and meet someone and say hi and introduce ourselves. So there's nothing bad about that. So that's what those serve as, and that's the good side of that. All right. Oh, so some are saying always try to watch live, but we'll watch recordings, and it's appreciated. So great. So as long as this is something that is worthwhile for the community and it works, we're going to continue to do it. All right. So I do want to plug the announcements again. I think it's very important, especially the Diablo Road closure. That is a major road for a lot of people coming from the Blackhawk area and McGee Ranch area. So that is going to be closed. So Diablo Road will be closed March 23rd through April 13th. We've stood up a webpage on our Danville Town Talks that has all the information. If you want updates, put your email address in there and you will get updates, and they'll send it right to you. So again, it's Diablo Road between Alameda Diablo and Avenida Nueva. We're asking that if you're driving from the McGee Ranch Blackhawk area while that road is closed, please avoid that area. Go down to Camino Tasajera and use Camino Tasajera as your way out for that time. And this is the section of Diablo Road that is just to the east. So it's from Diablo Road in Green Valley. It's east of there towards the community of Diablo if you were to try to drive out towards Blackhawk. So if you're going that way, the ask is that you go down to Camino Tasajera, Sycamore, and then head out that way, because the road's going to be closed, and it's going to be a full road closure. It's not a partial with one lane open. The road's going to be completely closed. So you want to avoid that area. All right. And then we want you to download the FEMA All Hazards Guide. Make sure you download that. And Kim, I'm going to talk about your speeding comment because that's perfect. So your FEMA All Hazards Guide, this is for those events that rarely happen but can cause a lot of havoc. Also sign up for Community Warning System, link in the description. Download that Wildfire Preparedness Guide, and we can make sure that you're all prepared. So when these events happen, you will certainly be prepared. So Kim says, but don't speed down Camino Tasajera. So maybe Kim saw a couple of our posts over the last 2 weeks. One of my officers that works the weekend that loves to do a lot of traffic has been all over town, and he has been telling me specifically on Camino Tasajera, he's making the same observations that all of you are. And so the two things to note: one, if you're speeding on the road and the officer's there, they're going to take enforcement action. They're going to do it. We're out there. We want to make sure that that people are safe. And the higher we know, and I put these in the post, the higher the speeds, the bigger the chance for a fatal collision. So one of the things that I put up there, and I'm going to mess up the numbers just a little bit, but if you're going 42 miles an hour and it's a vehicle versus a pedestrian collision, it's like a 4 in 10 chance of it being fatal. If you are going 62 miles an hour, it jumps up to 9 in 10. It's nearly every one is fatal. So we really want those speeds down. There are people that walk on the road. There's not on the road, but walk on the sidewalk. There's cyclists. We have seen bad collisions there, and we don't want to see those again. So we will ratchet up enforcement, and we're going to keep it there. So make sure you do that. Here was the interesting thing. People were giving the comments in the chat, and they were saying, hey, keep this up. I didn't put those posts out there because we were necessarily increasing enforcement in that area. Just because I was putting it out there because the officer was observing that the speeds were high, and he wanted everybody to know, like, hey, we're out here, please slow down. And I even put a chart up there from the beginning of the year showing that we've been making traffic enforcement stops all along Camino Tasajera and at a pretty high frequency. The other comment that came out of that was people were asking, what about my street? How about this area? If you have those suggestions, send them in. You send them in, we send them right to our traffic supervisor. He sends them to our 3 traffic officers. We've got 7-day coverage on that, plus all of our patrol officers during their discretionary time are to do traffic enforcement. So we've got a lot of people, a lot of eyes, a lot of enforcement eyes looking on those areas. So I appreciate all the feedback on that. We say that when we do traffic enforcement, the first thing that we look at is we look at where are the collisions occurring. And we know about 1/3 of them are in our downtown, and then the rest are along the Camino Tas corridor. So the thought is look in those areas and for what are causing the collisions. So speeding, stop signs, stoplights, cell phone usage, illegal turn, like a U-turn. So that's what we're primarily looking for. It doesn't mean we don't look for other things, but that's what we're looking for. The second way that we look to where we should look to do enforcement is all on you. And so we take your feedback, and when you tell us, hey, Center Avenue behind the Safeway, that's a narrow street, cars are parked on both, and people are running that stop sign back there, and that's the one that we use to cross and go into the Safeway shopping center. When you tell us that, we listen. And I don't have to have an accident there, for 5 years. But if you're telling me that that's where a potential accident may happen, then we're going to direct enforcement to that area as well. Maybe not as frequently as where we're getting a lot more accidents, but we're going to make sure that we're doing the enforcement. What helps when you give the criticism, though, is send it to us and give us what you think is the date or the day of the week that it's most frequent. So maybe if it's a dinner thing, it's a Thursday, Friday night, and then the time of the day that it's happening. If it's 7 days a week, commute traffic, that's fine too. But let us know so that we can focus in on that. All right. I'm going to look and see if there's any other comments. I don't see any. So that means we are 10:10, which means we are off duty, but we're always 10:8 in service to all of you. Have a good night, Danville.